possibility, but they've lost it here in midfield.
Hits you for six with a sporting mix from the middle and then
That's a lovely ball. Tammy Abraham tries to get the ball under control. He's
like you.
what have you said now? The tangle in the
Ginger, head that's ready to move. You say it's true.
I'm on enough of it.
Like me.
Talk about that.
Girls be like
Tammy Abraham tries to get the ball under control. He's
be like you.
what have you said now? The tangle in the
Ginger, head that's ready to move. You say it's true.
I'm on enough of it.
Like me.
Talk about that.
Girls be like
Tammy Abraham tries to get the ball under control. He's
be like you.
what have you said now? The tangle in the
Ginger, head that's ready to move. You say it's true.
I'm on enough of it.
Like me.
Talk about that.
Girls be like
Tammy Abraham tries to get the ball under control. He's
be like you.
what have you said now? The tangle in the
Ginger, head that's ready to move. You say it's true.
I'm on enough of it.
Like me.
Talk about that.
Girls be like Durham, like you.
Join the kings of the sporting jungle. Adrian Durham and Darren Duff. Weekday afternoons from 4.
That's Talk Sport I'm talking about, man.
Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs on sport. Talk Sport. It's the 002 the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and talk of debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksby and Andy Oddjob Jacobs flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got Pussy Galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksby and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
You have reached the voicemail of Alan Brazil.
If you're lucky, you just might catch the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
If you know where they look.
A solid Scottish bon vivant, he's been there, seen it, drunk it. Today's a friendly bookie, and life's an all-day junket. He put a monkey on a horse, that didn't make the course. Oh, Alan!
They call me the Tartan Pimpernel.
It's a comic daily steeplechase of tartan joviality, a proper wedge of wonder and corporate hospitality. It's a full day's toil when you're always on the boil, like Alan.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Talk Sports National Treasure. Available across the UK in wine bars, hospitality tents, bookies, and occasionally on Talk Sport.
Join me Monday morning from 6 o'clock.
Hopefully
on digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Cheers!
Talk Sport.
Welcome back. Cups of tea and coffee going down very well on the south coast, where it's a chilly, misty day, but a day that so far the visiting Chelsea fans are enjoying. Two games simultaneously occurring in the early kickoffs. This one and Burnley against Aston Villa. chance for Brighton and Hove Albion, and Kepa called into action for the first time seriously today, makes a good save. So those are the highlights from the two matches currently underway. 1-0 to Chelsea here at Brighton, and Villa leading 2-0 against Burnley. Interesting game this one, Paul. Chelsea started brightly, was certainly the better team for the first half hour and probably just about deserved their lead, but Brighton in the last 10-15 minutes of the half finally coming to life and forcing at least one good save from Kepa.
Yeah, and you know, when you're the home side, you expect to get on the front foot, and it was almost like, you know, Chelsea got on the front foot and then Brighton sort of waited. They were just sitting there waiting for Chelsea, and only in the last 10 minutes did they start to go, you know, let's have a go at these. Chelsea are not a great side. They give you back the ball, they give you time and space to play, but Brighton, it's a little bit of belief, I suppose. Do they really believe that they can get something out of this game? Because they're not really gambling, they're not really playing that expansive football, they're not really going for it, and I think they've got a chance in this game of getting something.
Well, I think they should believe, shouldn't they? I mean, I think Graham Potter should be telling them right now, because Chelsea have been okay, but they haven't been great, have they?
Well, the thing about this Chelsea side which stops them from being a top side is they give you a chance. They give you space, they give you time, they give you a chance, and it's up to you to feel confident enough to get after them and go and take that chance, because they're not a big side. They've got a couple at the back that are big, but through the midfield they're not a big side. They're all lenders of the ball, they all want it back. Very few defenders in there in the middle of midfield who sense danger and can read the opponent's attacking. Moy has been in and around it. Trossard's had shots at goal. You know, if they believe in themselves, they've got to get in and around Chelsea's box and put them under more pressure.
Well, plenty more action coming up throughout this New Year's Day footballing extravaganza in the Premier League. Next up, we've got Southampton against Spurs, an intriguing one just along the south coast from here. Southampton improved in recent weeks and looking to get themselves extricated from the relegation battle. Tottenham Hotspur disappointing generally of late, held by Norwich City last time out, looking to improve. Russell Hargreaves and Richard Lee will be bringing you every kick from that one. First, let's hear from the managers, Ralph Hasenhüttl for Saints and Jose Mourinho of Spurs.
There are a lot of games, but we have found now a shape and a team that is building on the automatism, on the habits, and this gives you the feeling that you are competitive, you know what you have to do, and we defend well, and we can always create chances.
The way he press it, the way he cover, the way he chase, the way he recover balls, that's the spirit of the team. And I always say that when things are not perfect, when you are not playing amazingly well, the base of everything is that fantastic spirit they have.
Well, Southampton, of course, beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Boxing Day, then picked up a useful point against Crystal Palace at St Mary's. Tottenham Hotspur struggling a little under Jose Mourinho at the moment. That's followed by 5:30 kickoff, Manchester City against Everton. Toby Gillis and Kit Simons will be bringing that one for you. Manchester City surely too big a gap between themselves and Liverpool to affect the title race unless Liverpool implode in some unexpected manner. And then a massive game to follow that one at the Emirates. Arsenal against Manchester United. Arsenal are currently languishing very much in the bottom half of the table, and potentially Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on his way, we hear. And we've also got Newcastle against Leicester, West Ham against Bournemouth, David Moyes' first game in charge of the Hammers, Watford against Wolves, and then at 5:30 Norwich City against Crystal Palace, Liverpool against Sheffield United tomorrow evening with Tom Rennie and Jamal Campbell-Rice. Can the champions-elect further enhance their credentials to win a first title since 1990? You name it, we've got it covered on Premier League Live.
You've reached the voicemail of Alan Brazil.
If you're lucky, you just might catch the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
If you know where he lives.
17 years with a tongue rough like a Wookie's, hanging out in wine bars with football stars and bookies. It's a labour of love when you work at Talk Sport, like Alan.
They call me the Tartan Pimpernel.
He does the show half naked in his underpants and simmet. He lives his life completely, cause he's just here for a visit. It's a full day slog when you're working like a dog. That's Alan.
Alan, where is Alan?
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Talk Sports National Treasure. Available across the UK in wine bars, hospitality tents, bookies, and occasionally on Talk Sport.
Join me Monday morning from 6 o'clock.
Hopefully
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Cheers.
Talk Sport.
I'm Sam Matterface, and this is Game Day. TalkSport has your weekend covered as we give you a series of exclusive podcasts bringing you total coverage of the Premier League with a trio of top podcasts. On Thursday, myself and a legendary lineup of pros and pundits will preview the action to all 10 Premier League matches.
They were okay in spells, don't get me wrong, but I think it was a gamble that he didn't really need to take. So to try it out against arguably the best side in Europe, or one of the best sides, was, I think, really risky.
This is a game they have to go and win for me, to show that they've bought well in the summer, that is their ambition for this season.
Alea.
On Saturday, it's your verdict with me, Laura Woods, and Adrian Durham, bringing you all the reaction and the very best of the phone-in.
I think Sadio Mane had every right to moan. I am fed up with Salah being greedy. I know he's trying to make Salah score a goal, but my God, come on, mate. Pass the ball.
Salah steps away from David Luiz. Still Mo Salah, 3-0. Brilliant individual goal from Mohamed Salah. And Liverpool are over the hills and far away.
On Monday morning, it's the turn of the record book with me, Danny Kelly. I'll be joined by the very best guests as we look back at all the weekend's action, going down the odd highway, byway tangent as well, all on the way. Did you ever play against Mick Harford?
I tried not to. To be perfect, I never actually come up against him. I did when he was a centre.
You must have heard the tales about Mick Harford and the things he did to a centre half.
Oh, we did, yeah. But lucky enough, when I was at QPR playing centre half, Big Alan McDonald got involved with him too, and that's the time I said, Alan, you can have him, because it worked out. He is the one person that he would kick you and you would apologise for getting in the way.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Whoa. Weekday mornings from 6.
How did fit the show together a minute ago?
On Talk Sport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Brighton and Hove Albion against Chelsea from the Amex Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Crystal Palace, Charlton and Aston Villa winger, Paul Mortimer. This is Premier League Live. Happy New Year to you if you've just joined us. I know plenty of Chelsea fans listening around the world, particularly in Ghana and Nigeria. Delighted with the start to 2020. Can Frank Lampard's team maintain it, or will Graham Potter's Brighton and Hove Albion carry the momentum from the last 10 minutes or so of the second half, of the first half into the second, I should say? It's going to be a very interesting 45 minutes. As it stands, with a win, Chelsea would only be 3 points behind Manchester City. City, of course, in action later against Carlo Ancelotti's Everton. It would also put Chelsea at 7 points daylight between themselves and Manchester United in fifth. For Brighton, this defeat would leave them vulnerable. Aston Villa currently winning at Burnley by 2-0 at half-time. They could move up a couple of places. That would take Villa to within 2 points of Brighton, who could find themselves, if West Ham and Bournemouth, either of those two win, sucked further into the relegation zone. It's still misty and moist on the south coast on this opening day of 2020. Brighton and Hove Albion in their blue and white striped shorts, blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks, about to get us underway against a Chelsea side clad in black shirts and shorts and luminous orange socks. The referee, Stuart Atwell, getting us underway for the second half. Let me take you through the lineups. Brighton have Matt Ryan in goal, a back four of Martin Montoya, Lewis Dunk, Andy Webster and Bernardo, who replaced the injured Dan Burn early on as a sub. Davy Proper and Yves Bissouma in centre midfield, then Stephen Alzati, Aaron Moy and Leandro Trossard, who's come the closest to scoring for the Seagulls. Neil Maupay is up front. Chelsea have Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. The back four is fit again Reece James, Antonio Rudiger, Kurt Zouma and the goal-scoring captain Cesar Azpilicueta. Across midfield, N'Golo Kante, Mason Mount and Jorginho up front. Another player fit again after a spell out injured, Christian Pulisic, alongside Tammy Abraham and Willian. We've got a drop ball here because the ball hit Stuart Atwell. We've got a substitution here for Brighton. I'm just double checking. I think Aaron Connolly may be on. The eagle-eyed Paul Mortimer has spotted that. Who's he replaced? Bissouma, is it? Yes, he's on, number 44, the Irish international.
Interesting to see how they now play as Maupay dropped back in just into that midfield area, and Connolly is a front runner. He's strong, he's a little lad, strong, quick, will trouble, I think, Chelsea centre halves, because I don't think they have the turn of pace that he has. But Bissouma, who was holding things together in midfield, maybe it looks like a really attacking option.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Although Aaron Connolly's only scored in one game this season. He announced himself in the Premier League with that double against Tottenham Hotspur in a fantastic 3-0 win earlier in the season in October. But those are his only goals in 14 games. He's now a Republic of Ireland international. Of course, that means that Brighton have made 2 substitutions, because of course there was that enforced replacement of Dan Burn by Bernardo. So Graham Potter has only got one.
Yeah, I can only believe
trick up his sleeve.
I can only believe Bissouma's injured, because you don't make those. You know, they didn't need to fundamentally change anything apart from their belief.
Yeah,
really. Yeah. So he must be injured, because
didn't notice him injured first half at all.
Because what that does now, it cuts down your options. Now you look at the bench now, and you may, if they was to nick a goal and then hold on, the options they've got on the bench are limited now.
Yeah.
Plus, if they get an injury now, it could be problems.
Yeah. Dare Sampson, shout out to you guys from me in Ibadan, Nigeria. Alayesuri Oluwashina says, you guys are machines, reading tweets and running commentaries, quite extraordinary. Happy New Year, guys. Sheena from Lagos, thanks very much, in Sheena. We're not robots. We make mistakes like any other human beings do. We love reading out the tweets. So it's one of my favourite things about doing this, to be honest. It's always great to know who you are, where you're listening, and in some cases what you're eating, what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. It all adds to the great tapestry of these commentaries we bring you throughout the season on Premier League Live. Here's Adam Webster for Brighton. It's a loose ball, but it's not really capitalised upon by Christian Pulisic, who can't control it with his left foot. It goes bouncing out of play. Frank Lampard is up on the edge of his technical area, looking across the field rather, because I don't think he'll be absolutely delighted. He'll be pleased with the current scoreline, but I don't think he'll be crazy about the way they've played.
No, I'm looking at this game, and I have to say it's there to be taken by someone. It's there for someone to grab by the throat and take charge of, because neither side really has done that. Chelsea had their spell, which culminated in them scoring, but that's about it. Other than that, it's there for both. Both are competing, but it's like neither wants to really win it yet.
Yeah, here's Antonio Rudiger just toying with the ball inside his own half. He's going to have to clear it now, and it was blocked by Aaron Connolly. Abraham Nyangpen, VAR wants humans to be perfect. The offside rules should be clear and not lines drawn to decide. Good game from Chelsea. Grealish has passed auditions for United, if there was one. Happy New Year from Abraham in Accra in Ghana. I agree with you about VAR, and as we mentioned in the first half, there are discussions afoot, let us say, about maybe changing that particular way of interpreting offside, and the general unhappiness at players being ruled offside by mere millimetres that may well be something that 2020 brings us. Let's hope so, because we've had another one today with Aston Villa apparently in the other game which is happening at the moment.
John, people wanted clear decisions.
They did.
They wanted correct decisions. And what you'll find is these decisions are correct, but they are so scrutinised, to this line, but they are offside, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Whichever way you want to look at it, big toe, body hair, armpit,
I think
technically they're offside.
I think one of the problems is that a lot of the people in the media who are now criticising VAR were the sort of people who a year ago, 2 years ago, were saying, oh, well, VAR, it's straightforward, it's simple, it'll sort everything out. Not true. I mean, I covered a tournament in South Korea a couple of years ago, and it was my first ever experience of VAR, and it was complicated, it was difficult, it was confusing. It wasn't a magic wand, which I think a lot of people felt it would be, and inevitably, it's like everything else. It's open to interpretation, and one of the main criticisms for me of is at times it is just another opinion. The referee just gets a second opinion on it, But anyway, thankfully we haven't had any VAR controversy in this one so far. We're 6.5 minutes into the second half. Chelsea fans enjoying their trip to the South Coast so far. Thankfully, the floods that affected this part of the world just before Christmas have abated. At one point, the A23, which is the main road that goes down from South London, I'm sure you do, down to here, was completely flooded and closed off before Christmas. Here's Reece James ready to take a throw-in. He's back fit again for Chelsea. It's his 16th appearance of the season. He's been barracked by the Brighton fans who want him to get on with the throw. He's finally taken it now. Kante has got a man in acres of space on the left-hand side. It's Azpilicueta. It's not the best ball. It's back with Kante now. Azpilicueta again chips the ball into the box towards Pulisic, who can't get a touch. Willian lets it run behind in the hope that he's going to get a corner kick.
And you can see Frank Lampard, he can't believe it. That old pattern of play highlights how poor Chelsea have been. It's a poor pass, really poor pass from Kante. There's 4 other players in the box. He looks one way. He's got to play that slightly earlier so that the player coming along has got enough space to be able to look up and put a decent cross in. I think it was Azpilicueta. And he's a right footer playing on the left, so the pass has to be right.
Yeah. And Willian then let the ball run out when he thought he had a corner, and it was a goal kick in the end. Screams for handball by Brighton supporters against Rudiger, not given. I tell you, he's had a quiet game today. Mason Mount, we haven't seen much of him, have we?
He's
such a good player.
But then if you look at all of their midfield, Pulisic, I've got to say, has not been great. Jorginho, they've had quiet games. Like you say, you haven't name-checked Mount that much.
Not much at all.
Not been... And that's why I say this game is up for grabs.
He's on the ball now, of course, having said that. And now chance for Pulisic, step over, gets the shot in! Near post, and it's saved at the near post by Matt Ryan. Not an enormously complicated save for the keeper, but it was a nice step over by Pulisic, who unleashed the shot with his left foot, low and hard, but fairly straightforward for the Brighton keeper.
Well, finally we see some attacking prowess. It would have to take a mistake to beat Matt Ryan from there. He's that good, I think, and he has a lot of work to do most weeks, so that's straightforward for him. But again, this game is up for grabs. No one is really taking it by the scruff of the neck. It's a game no one wants to win at the moment.
Here's Mason Mount driving forward for Chelsea, the number 19. He's got a lot of space here. They're standing off him. It's Mason Mount with a shot, and finally he was blocked by Webster, who slithered in on the edge of the penalty area. Reece James plays the ball back infield, and Jorginho with a diagonal ball to Willian, who's hugging the near right-hand touchline for Chelsea. Reece James pivots back and finds Jorginho. Back it goes all the way to halfway to Rudiger. Brighton doing a good job of keeping Chelsea at bay at the moment. Here's Pulisic again for Chelsea, inside the box onto his left foot. That one's wide, but he's getting a little bit of freedom, isn't he, down that inside left channel. Pulisic, first one saved, that one went past the near post, but Brighton twice have allowed him in on his right foot to get a shot at goal.
And it's the way that Chelsea are playing. Pulisic is staying wide. Aaron Moy isn't going wide because of the way they've changed the way they played. They've taken off one midfielder and they've probably got two literally up front, which means they're narrow in midfield. So when the ball does go wide left to their right, there is no Brighton midfielder out there, which means Pulisic is 1v1, so he can cut inside and take his shots.
Well, Yibi Meek Mill, Paul, is inviting us round for his meal, which is fufu with groundnut soup and tilapia. Nice. He's enjoying the game in Accra in Ghana. It looks like a kind of stew. Is that potato in that?
Looks like potato and meat.
It looks quite nice.
Yeah, it does actually. A bit of ketchup will do the job.
Unfortunately, we're stuck here. What? I say unfortunately, that's not fair. Oh, that's a lovely touch by Trossard, gets it back. Oh, a heavy touch by Trossard, takes him away from goal towards the byline. It was nicely done initially by Mopai, and then Trossard makes a mess of the ball back. To be honest, this hasn't really been a high quality game.
No,
There's been a lot of sort of sloppy play from both teams.
Well, there was a chance, but then again, and some of this can be the fatigue from a lot of games, because there's a lack of just that little bit of sparkle in this game, John. You know, everyone's working hard, but that genuine quality that we expect from both good footballing sides isn't quite there at the moment.
Reece James is really incurring the wrath of the Brighton supporters, because he's taking a long time over these throw-ins, which they perceive as time wasting. King's Oracle BIM. I think VAR is fantastic technology which is being abused by clueless English referees. Use it wisely and we're good to go. Listening in Accra in Ghana on City FM. I'm not sure it's the referees that are to blame. Certainly with the offside, it's the rule that's to blame. The referees are simply implementing what they're told to do. It may not be a good thing. Anyway, here's Mason Mount for Chelsea. He's got Azpilicueta to his left. Azpilicueta chips it in. Pulisic thought about a volley. In the end, there is a volley from the edge of the box by N'Golo Kante, but not with sufficient power to trouble Ryan, who was well placed in the Brighton goal to make another save. But Chelsea are enjoying a little spell here. The last 5-10 minutes they've been pretty good. But here come Brighton. The game's opened up a little bit. It's Bernardo. It's a good ball to Trossard. Trossard across. Important header by Zuma. Only as far as Bernardo, though, on the near left-hand side as Brighton attack. Here's Davy Pröpper finding Bernardo again, on as a substitute for Dan Burn, who was injured early in the first half. Just flicks the ball forward. It's cleverly controlled by Mopai, and that's a good ball. Trossard to Moy, trying to return the ball to Trossard. Brighton laying siege to Chelsea at the moment. In it comes again. This is Mopai, and then clipped in from the far side. Good header away again by Rudiger. Brighton keen to keep the ball alive as they exert pressure on Chelsea. It's Davy Pröpper on the right. Oh dear, the cross is woeful. That really was a poor cross to end what was a very promising spell for the home side.
Well, finally they've woken up. You can see Graham Potter clapping and saying, come on lads, because it's this lack of belief. They're finally believing that they can actually get something out of this game, and they can. Chelsea had a decent spell without really creating much. Final ball not good enough. There's an opportunity here for Brighton if they want it. The game is up for grabs, and it's about who wants this game more.
Still Burnley 0, Aston Villa 2. Up to almost an hour at Turf Moor. Wesley and Jack Grealish with first half goals, which could be absolutely crucial for Aston Villa in their battle against relegation. One of the out of form teams in the Premier League over Christmas, starting 2020 it seems in the right way. Here's Tammy Abraham, who will remember 2019 for a very long time, I'm sure. He was an Aston Villa player last season, and doing really well in the Premier League. The second top scorer in the division behind Jamie Vardy. Here's Aaron Moy. Moy towards Connolly, who's trying to get there ahead of James. Good play by James, very strong by the youngster. Shepherded Aaron Connolly out of the way. Reece James only turned 20 earlier. I was going to say earlier this month. It's actually earlier last month in December.
Pass for someone of Aaron Moy's quality. And you can see Connolly's fuming, because if he doesn't overhit it, Connolly's clean through, and with his pace he takes it away and possibly makes the keeper work. But Aaron Moy just overhits it, and it puts Reece James in charge, and he can just see it out for a goal kick. But it's frustrating for Brighton, because you can see that they're in the game. You can see that, but for a little bit of belief, they can create chances that cause Chelsea problems.
Tina Asante-wa. I always enjoy listening to your great commentary. It makes me feel like I'm right there at the stadium. Wishing you a happy new year with more grace and blessings. Same coming back to you, Tina. Thanks for joining us. Keep the tweets coming. Hour gone at the Amex. Chelsea still leading by a 1-0, threatening a second, but not yet finding one, although Brighton in the second half have done a bit of threatening themselves. Here's Pulisic finding Willian into the box. Good play by Willian, but he can't find Abraham. It's gone straight to Bernardo. Final ball quality lacking again. Now, is that a stumble or what is that by Alzate? He's actually controlled it with his chest on the floor, and Brighton are able to get the ball upfield and win a free kick with Aaron Connolly bundled into by Antonio Rudiger, who's absolutely furious at the award of that free kick, as is Frank Lampard, who's berating the fourth official, Gavin Ward.
Not sure why, it's a foul.
Yeah, it looks it, didn't it? Here's Moy for Brighton, far side, put in from Pulisic to take the ball out of play. There's a lot that can happen in this game, and Chelsea's lead is by no means a secure one. You can hear the cry of seagulls from the home fans. What an extraordinary couple of decades Brighton have had. Played at 3 different grounds, originally at the old Goldstone, then they had an awful period at Withdean Stadium, which was little more than a glorified athletics track, really.
Yeah, I played at both of them. Yeah. Goldstone was lovely.
Yeah.
Withdean was the strangest thing you've ever seen.
I've been there. Yeah.
And every time I've been there as a fan or as working there, it's rained. and of course, there was no covering at all, so you got drenched.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and it was all temporary seating. Stadium. I mean, the Amex is brilliant. Yeah. It's a lovely. It's perfect for a club of this size. I mean, a lot of people have compared it to a mini version of the Emirates. It really is a terrific, comfortable ground, and an excellent home for Brighton and Hove Albion, who 10 years ago were 20th in what is now League One. It was probably League One then, that third tier of English football, struggling to avoid relegation into the very bottom tier. What a renaissance they've had.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Established Premier League side, foreign players, international players, mixing it with the best in Europe.
Got to the Cup semi-finals last season. Here's Bernardo, managed to survive, of course, looking to do so again. Here's Mason Mount looking to take on Davy Pröpper. Mount still has the ball just onto his right foot. Pröpper standing firm at the moment. This is Jorginho for Chelsea. Urge the Chelsea fans. Instead it's a crossfield ball to James, whose turn is a nice one, but his ball in's a poor one. Why on earth has he tried to play that with the outside of his right foot when his left foot would surely have been the better option?
I admire his confidence, but then it comes down to matching intelligence.
Now Chelsea have lost it in midfield. And it's a shame that Mopé's pass from Brighton's point of view wasn't better, because it was an intended defence splitter and Connolly had run onto it, anticipating it well, but it didn't reach him.
Well, he'll be fuming. That's twice now. But for the pass, he would have been in having shots at goal.
Now then, Pulisic at the other end, inside the box, wide on the left-hand side. Christian Pulisic tries to sneak it into the far post. Mason Mount, the ball back in towards Abraham. He can't get ahead of Kante. Reece James, deflected shot wide. Well, that was Chelsea coming close to extending their lead. Pulisic initially trying to fool the keeper at his near post. Ryan made the save. It was cleared by Dunk only as far as Reece James, and then it hit Alzate on its way through. It's a Chelsea corner kick.
Good play from Chelsea, because they've kept the ball in and around the box, and that's where mistakes come, but they've blocked it really well, Brighton. Now they've got to just focus, because you do not want to be giving away a goal from a set piece in this kind of game where it appears goals are going to be at a premium.
20 minutes played in the second half. Chelsea corner. Tammy Abraham will be an obvious target, looking to add to his tally. It's a Willian outswinger. It's headed away neatly and then hit by Pulisic, but not very well. He scraped it with his studs and it was easily cleared by Brighton. Looks like we might get a substitution in just a moment, and Christian Pulisic, who's back from an injury, having missed the last 2 games with a hamstring problem, understandably, is the man who's being withdrawn. He's had a couple of sights of goal in the second half, one saved and another one just wide of the post. He's clearly not 100% fit yet, but he's made it up to the 65th minute, and he's been replaced by the hugely talented Callum Hudson-Odoi, still only 19 years of age.
It's a strange one for me. Because
is it not just the fact that Pulisic is not ready to...
Yeah, but Hudson-Odoi has not been playing well. He's not. I mean, Kovacic would have been a better, but he's just not played well, Hudson-Odoi, since he came back from the long-term.
Yeah, he's had an injury himself.
He just has not really hit those heights, and he was an overnight sensation, wasn't he? He was a better player, through Bayern Munich coming in for him than he'd been allowed to show people. So there was an expectation on him before he'd even cemented a place in the Chelsea side. So you look at him now, and he's under far more scrutiny than anyone else's age.
Under 17 World Cup winner a couple of years ago with England, now a full international, of course. He's got 25 minutes to try and make an impact here. Long ball forward towards N'Golo Kante, who's got goal sight of Webster. Clips it back, useful ball. Here is Hudson-Odoi. Tries to shoot, it's blocked in the box by Dunk. And now Aaron Moy for Brighton, over the top for Connolly to chase. I think Kurt Zouma is likely to get there first, but Connolly's a tenacious little figure. He's not tall in stature, but he's gutsy little performer. Couldn't make anything of that though, and Rudiger will clear it for Chelsea all the way towards Tammy Abraham. Adam Webster's going to get there first and just guide it back to his goalkeeper, Dave Giver. The game is not over, it's only 1-0 to Chelsea. I reckon Brighton can equalise or win the game. Looking forward to Manchester City against Everton later, Guardiola against Ancelotti. You and me both. Fantastic statistic today. Those two managers, Pep Guardiola and Carlo Ancelotti, between them as players and managers, have won 65 trophies.
Incredible.
Absolutely amazing. And they've done it in various different countries as well, in challenging. It's incredible. Serial winners. Now then, that's a lovely ball by Chelsea forward to Willian. He's got Tammy Abraham in front of him. It's Willian. He's surrounded by blue and white shirts. He has found Tammy Abraham. Deflected shot, and it goes over the bar. Whistle blows.
Yeah, he's offside.
Might not have counted had it gone in. The flag has been raised. We're midway through the second half, and we're going to get another substitution.
He's got to do it earlier.
Probably the best ball of the game, wasn't it?
But Willian's got to do that slightly earlier. He's taken far too long, and Abrahams is probably just offside.
Sally Caldwell has sent us a lovely picture, enjoying the commentary during a run in Central Park. Happy New Year from New York City. Is that the reservoir? I think it's called the Jackie Onassis.
That's it.
Jackie Onassis reservoir.
We went there with the summer with my wife.
Did you?
Walk around the whole thing. Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's no better city on earth, in my opinion, than New York.
It's our first time there. Lovely.
Fantastic.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'd love to go back. Here's N'Golo Kante for Chelsea into the box. So it's only half clear. Mason Mount tries to get a shot in, and in the end it's smuggled away by Webster. But Brighton were a little uneasy at the back there, and Chelsea are just beginning to get a little bit of a foothold.
To book him. And this is where Aaron Connolly is trouble. That's just a ball that's hoofed down the channel. And to all intents and purposes, Kurt Zouma is first to it, but Connolly just nicks in front of Zouma, and it's a foul, and he will be causing problems now. A little bit of a risk there. Chelsea had a chance because at the back I think Webster and Dunk took a little bit of risk on the ball, allowed Kante to win the ball and try to set up his teammates in the box.
It's a free kick to Brighton and Hove Albion. It's going to be taken by their Belgian midfielder Leandro Trossard. It's a long one into the box. Kepa's there, he hasn't gathered. There's no foul, and it comes out to Alzate, who shoots, but his shot is blocked. Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh, incidentally, has come on as a substitute for Brighton and Hove Albion, the man who got his first ever goal for the club and seemed quite overcome by emotion on Boxing Day when he netted against Bournemouth.
Not a fan of Kepa's goalkeeping, I've got to say. He punched the ball right into his teammate's head there, and there's no reason why he couldn't have caught that. He has not looked great today.
No.
And if I'm Brighton, I get the ball in and around him. I get the ball in that corridor of uncertainty between the defenders and the keeper, because his decision making today when the ball's in and around him in the air has not been great.
Frontier FC. English accent is the best in the world. I love the commentary. Happy New Year to you guys from North Legon, Accra, Ghana. Thank you so much, dear boy. That's my posh voice. That's not my real voice. I don't talk like that normally. Here's Tammy Abraham chasing for Chelsea. And gathering it well and using his strength. Now, was that a foul? It was by Lewis Dunk. He's going to be pulled up. In fact, it's going to be a yellow card for the Brighton centre half.
Well, it's great play from Tammy Abraham, but as soon as Lewis Dunk lets the ball bounce, Tammy Abrahams is in charge. Because he's lost flight at the ball, Dunk, and he's wearing one of three hands there. He's just rugby tackled him to the ground, and it's poor defending because he's taken a gamble on being able to bring the ball down and control it after it's bounced, and he was never in charge.
Booking then for the Brighton skipper. We're into the last 20 minutes of the game. Looks like Mateo Kovacic is about to come on for Chelsea, but they've got a free kick here about 30 yards from goal, just to the right of centre. There's a line of blue and white shirted Brighton players along the edge of the 18-yard box. Rudiger has gone up, Zuma has gone up, Ryan is doing some organising. It's going to be Reece James potentially to swirl it into the box, which he does. Did that come off Bernardo's head? It's gone behind for a goal kick. It didn't quite flick the Afro-style haircut of the Brazilian substitute. Felix Yeboah listening to you guys live from Tabora in Accra. Love the energy behind your voices. You make me feel like I'm right there in the stadium. I wish you a prosperous new year, and to you too. Here's Benjamin Frimpong. Hello guys, why are the referees not allowed to go watch the VAR monitor but an individual sitting somewhere and deciding for them? It's terrible. That's Ben in Timor in Ghana. Well, the answer to that question, Ben, is that the Premier League have decided that they don't want the game held up. What puzzles me, Paul, is that quite often when there's a VAR decision being made, the referee is just standing there in the middle of the pitch with his finger. Why doesn't he just walk across? He's not going to waste any time.
I don't understand.
It's ridiculous. I mean,
understand.
Premier League referees officiating in the Champions League will be told to use those monitors, and in the Premier League they're told not to. It's absurd.
It baffles me. It really does.
It goes back to what I said earlier. I still think it's the arrogance of English football. I still think we always think we know best about everything. Which is clearly not the case.
Don't acknowledge when we've got it wrong. That's correct. The biggest thing.
I agree. Here's Bernardo finding Trossard for Brighton and Hove Albion. They're still in this game with 18 minutes to go. Trossard to Connolly, who shoots. Good block by Rudiger and then hit by Jahan Baksh, who had his eyes on another goal after scoring for the first time the other day. But it was hit high and wide by the Iranian international, who was visibly overcome with emotion. He scored very early in the game and he was almost wiping tears from his eyes, which I suppose is relief, I guess. It was his first goal after a lot of games for Brighton.
About 26 or
something like that.
And it's difficult because if you don't hit the ground running, it becomes very, very difficult to be able to settle in and be accepted.
Chelsea still leading by 1-0 on Premier League Live. This is Callum Hudson-Odoi with the shot. It's blocked by Webster. It goes back to Callum Hudson-Odoi, who will flick it back towards Kovacic, who has come on for Chelsea. That's their second substitution. Brighton have already made all three. They're at 16 minutes to go at the Amex. Here's Tammy Abraham. Too many opportunities for him to add to his impressive tally of 14 goals this season. Great ball across field towards Reece James, who's still being booed by the Brighton fans for perceived time wasting. Here's Willian back to halfway with Jorginho.
I think he's been booed because of his part in Dan Burn coming off.
Yeah, it's possible. Although I don't think he was that. Yeah, you might be right actually. I don't think he's that much to blame.
He was in as a bystander. He had to go for the ball.
Really, yeah. Here's James, who's again frustrated the Brighton fans. They wanted a free kick, they're not going to get one. Here's Willian for Chelsea, who will stay fourth with this win and increase the gap between themselves and Manchester United to 7 points. Antonio Rudiger deep inside his own half, looking to launch the ball forward. He does down the line. There's a run by Kante, and it's been read by Lewis Dunk, who gets across just to put the ball out of play for Brighton and Hove Albion. Still Burnley nil, Aston Villa 2. Villa very close to a hugely needed win up at Turf Moor. Long way from here. Here's Reece James trying to find Willian, who flicks it in with a back heel. Tammy Abraham is strong in the challenge, but has caught one there around his thigh, top of his thigh. He was kicked inadvertently in a painful place there. Can Brighton find themselves a goal which would give them an absolutely precious point? That's a really good ball, and it's knocked in first time, but not with any great accuracy in the end. And Chelsea will now try and counter with Hudson-Odoi finding Kovacic, who hadn't scored for something like 120 games for Chelsea, but has scored 2 recently in both Europe and domestic competitions.
And this is the problem Potter has. He's used all these substitutions, so these are the times where you look at your bench and say, well, what have I got that can give us a spark or can do something different? But he's had to use them. He's used them all early, and now he's got a hope that what he's got on the pitch might be good enough to just create a chance, because they've not really done that yet. They've got to be excited when they've got into good areas.
Here's Kante trying to get into the Brighton box. Ebenezer Epila, nice commentary from you guys when you can't get close to a TV. We'll try and colour it up for you as best we can. Here's Kante towards Abraham, knocked away by Webster. James controls it neatly on his chest and then gets in a slight tangle, but extricates himself from it and finds Kante. Kante halted by Bernardo. Referee has played a good advantage here for Brighton. The assistant signalled a foul, but here's Connolly. Oh, he's a bit unlucky. It came off his heel and flicked away behind. Everybody's eating fufu today. Jerome listening while eating fufu in Ghana. Chelsea should put the icing on the cake with a second goal. Villa to win. Happy New Year, you guys. Keep up the good job you are doing. Thank you very much indeed, Jerome. Enjoy the fufu. Somebody's very kindly produced a picture of it for us. Looks very tasty indeed. Could do with some actually. It's quite cold here. Chilly day, misty and foggy. 12 minutes to go. Header back by Dunk, and Brighton have it again towards Trossard, who hasn't got space for a shot. Connolly though tries to set up Jahan Bach. Here's Trossard again, and that's a clever ball. There's a chance here. Montoya gets the cross in, and it's repelled by Zuma, and then a foul, was it? No, yes. I thought initially the referee was running away from that, and yeah, he's penalised Kovacic in the end for a foul, I think, on Jahan Bach. And we're going to get another look at it here on our monitors. Well, it didn't seem too much doubt, did there?
He's saying I touched the ball. It's ridiculous sometimes what players say. It's a definite foul. Doesn't make sense. And here's a chance for them to swing some quality into the box. Webster's very good from set pieces. He scored a couple of decent goals. Lewis Dunk is decent, so it's now about the quality that goes into the box. Trossard's got to put something in there, and also to entice Kepa, because his decision making has been terrible today. He's not really given his defenders that much confidence, has he?
This could be a big moment for Brighton. Here's the free kick. It's in towards Jahan Bach. It's only half cleared. Connolly with a shot. Magnificent save by Kepa Arrizabalaga. That was going in until the goalkeeper got down low to his right hand side and somehow clawed it to safety. Brilliant goalkeeping.
Well, it's a wonderful save. It's a terrible ball in, but somehow it bobbles its way into Aaron Connolly, who takes a touch, swivels, and doesn't get enough on the shot, really, does he? Scuffs it, and that's, I think, why Kepa has got time to actually get down to good reaction save, I have to say. Terrible with crosses today, great shot stopping today.
Yeah. Yalver. Throw in my boy Tariq Lamptey. I strongly believe he'd make an impact. And saw Sapasi in Ghana. That's Tariq Lamptey, who is being discussed there. A young defender who came on for his debut against Arsenal on Sunday. He is an Englishman, but with African roots, of course. Petr Cech, we're seeing on our monitor, Chelsea legend, goalkeeper who helped them win the Champions League. Of course, he is or was an ice hockey goalkeeper. He's still playing for Guildford.
That's right,
which is my hometown, actually, down in Surrey.
Yeah, he's playing for them. I
haven't seen them.
Some sort of sporting director at the top at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he's a good drummer as well, Petr Cech. You've seen him on YouTube. He drums along to Foo Fighters hits. He's pretty good. Here's Brighton and Hove Albion trying to drum up an equaliser with Bernardo, who flicks it back to Lewis Dunk. They've got less than 10 minutes of normal time to try and do it, Brighton. Here's Proper, centre midfield, probing forward, finding Johan back to Proper, who didn't really want the ball, but he's managed to control it. This is a bit too slow from Brighton at the moment, but Dunk has tried to up the ante. Clever back heel by Trossard. That's a silly foul by Kovacic. And it's a booking, but needlessly conceding a free kick in a dangerous position. He's only been on the field a few minutes, the Croatian.
Well, it's brainless. It absolutely is brainless. Because Maupay is running into Antonio Rudiger, who's going to clear the ball. It doesn't make sense. All you do now is invite a bit more pressure. It's an awkward place where this free kick is as well, to be able to put quality in. It's almost too close to the penalty area. It's almost too close to the goal. You know?
Yeah.
For a shot, it's a right footer. It's going to have to get it up and down. It's too close to get up and down, I think. But he needs to put quality in Trossard. He does.
Trossard, he had one from the opposite flank, which he made nothing of. He's got an opportunity now. It's wide on the left. He's a right-footed player, so he might even go for goal here.
Well, it'd have to explode off his foot to beat Kepa today.
No, he's played it short. He's gone for the return, and it's a mess, frankly. It just didn't work. It was a training ground exercise. He played it short and square. It was not back to him. He tried to curl it towards the back post and only succeeded in curling it wide of the far post and away to safety from Chelsea's point of view.
I'm looking at his teammates, and it's one off the training ground where apparently none of them were there. I think it was just Trossard by himself who's made that one up, because none of the players looking at them had a clue what was going on. All had a pop at him.
No, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's two free kicks in good positions wasted. Kay says, "Happy New Year, guys. You are sweetly terrific with the commentary and the blend of history to go with it. I feel like I'm watching the game in my room. Chelsea will nick this one. Liverpool winning the league. Oru from Port Harcourt. Here come Brighton." I was wondering about 1933, actually talking about history. I was thinking about what you could do to demonstrate 6 years before the start of the Second World War. The current Queen of England, who'll be 94 this year, was 6 the last time. Wow. Brighton beat Chelsea, and it doesn't look as if it's going to improve at the moment.
I think there's another chance in it.
I'm sure there is. Yeah, I'm sure
there's at least
right.
another chance in it.
Here's the corner. It's an outswinger for Brighton. It's towards Dunk, who gets his head to it. Magnificent overhead kick. What a fantastic goal for Brighton.
He's going to cry again.
It's Johan Baksh. Well, it was superbly executed by the Iranian. A textbook bicycle kick. Acrobatic, accurate, and an equaliser for Brighton with 6 minutes to go. Wow! Brighton won, Chelsea won. What a goal!
Well, it's a dream goal, isn't it? And again, a little bit like the Chelsea goal, they keep the ball in the box, and it's there. It's just opened up. It's almost like in slow motion. It's gone to Johan Baksh, and it's a great overhead kick, and he slices it with the outside of his boot, and that's what takes it away from Kepa, who sees it late and has absolutely no chance. Absolutely no chance. Lovely overhead kick. Did he cry? Is he emotional?
Well, I imagine he probably is. Graham Potter certainly is. He's hugging his assistants on the bench. I mean, it's an absolutely magnificent goal. Goal of the year so far. It could end up being one of the goals of the year in December.
One thing I'll say is now, this next 6, 7, 8 minutes is going to be interesting. Who's going to go for it now?
Brighton, by the looks of it. Here's Connolly, edge of the box. Goes round his man, gets to the byline. Flicks it in towards the side netting. But Brighton fans are believing now that they can possibly go on and win this one. And Chelsea, who were were trailing late on against Arsenal and ended up winning, have been leading for the vast proportion of this game, but could technically end up losing it. There are 5 minutes of normal time to go. It's one apiece. Alireza Jahanbakhsh has got his second goal in a week for Brighton. Here comes Mopé. They want to win this one. It's Trossard. Gets to the byline. It's not a good ball again. It forced him too far across to the left-hand side, but Trossard gets the ball in. It's headed away by Kovacic. Here's Tammy Abraham though, and the ball played poorly again down the middle towards Willian, but it's intercepted by Adam Webster. You can hear Brighton voices now. Here's Jahanbakhsh, their new hero. 27 odd games without a goal. He's suddenly got two in quick succession, the second of which we've just seen here. You need to check it out. You have to see it. It's an absolute miracle of a goal from Jahanbakhsh. Here's Bernardo finding Trossard. Chelsea
do it easy,
are looking
got to pick his moments.
Yeah, he's played quite well, but his final ball's been generally poor.
Sometimes get it out your feet. This time, with 2 or 3 minutes ago, it's not the time for fantasy football. It's the time for consistency. And I said to you before, it's a game no one wants to win, because Chelsea have had spells, but they haven't really created those chances that would frighten the opposition into defending and holding on.
Long ball forward. You've got an admirer in Ghana. Millicent says, funny joke regarding they practiced it on the training ground, but none of them were there. That was a Paul Mortimer original gag, that one. It was a good one. Appreciated by Millicent.
You're welcome.
Who is
I'm here a week.
Simi Hall at Simi Hall.
Is there another chance in this one? That's going to be the thing.
There will be. There'll be a chunk of stoppage time, I'm sure, maybe 4.
The weird thing about this, John, is neither team has really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. Neither team, like I said, it's a game no one wants to win at the moment.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And ultimately, I suppose 1-1 would be a fair result. Yeah. Chibuezo Clinton disappointed with that late goal. Chelsea has got to do more defensively from Port Harcourt here in Nigeria. To be fair, that was a wonder goal.
It was.
It was difficult to defend. Now suddenly here's Hudson-Odoi. Can he make a name for himself? No. He's put it wide. He's still looking for his first ever Premier League goal. Callum Hudson-Odoi. And he missed the opportunity there. It was an opening. It was set up by Abraham. He did the first bit quite well, but then just flicked it over the top of the bar with his right foot from just inside the penalty area.
I actually think he should make the keeper work there. It's poor from Brighton. I've got to say, how they leave, their fullback in the penalty area 1v1 is beyond me.
Brighton have it, coming forward with Pröper. Pröper getting away from Callum Hudson-Odoi and crossing halfway. He's got a man out wide on the right-hand side. It's Martin Montoya. Montoya with a cross. Mopé, brilliant save. Comes out to Alzate, who hasn't got room for a shot, or has he? He does eventually shoot. It's half blocked and then thumped away. That was a brilliant save by Kepa, who's twice come to Chelsea's aid in the last 15 minutes or so. It was a lovely cross by Montoya, cut it back beautifully for Mopé, who was looking to slide the ball in, but the feet of the Chelsea goalkeeper denied him. But Brighton finishing the stronger. It's Mopé trying to win a corner off Rudiger. Rudiger prevents it going for a corner and knocks it away for a throw. Listen to the roar from the home fans at the Amex as we watch on our monitors that lovely save again by Kepa. He's kept them in it, really. Here's Pröper, who shoots. Ironic cries of shoot. He's not by any means a prolific goal scorer. But Chelsea, since that,
I don't know what they're doing.
The ball's gone down. Equaliser, have been rocked back on their heels.
The ball's been punctured. I've not seen that before. Wow, great save, I've got to say, from Kepa. They've done everything right. Great cross, great contact on it, great save. It's a savable one. It's close to the keeper, but he's still got to do it. I mean, he's not been great in his decision making when the ball's in the air, but they've been the best chance of the game, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Chelsea seem to be, they're hanging on, aren't they?
They are. It's the first time they've drawn for a while, Chelsea.
there's a.
Oh, now hang on, what's gone on here? Mopai is being confronted by Azpilicueta, and Jahan Bach is
I'm not quite
sticking
sure
his oar in. I'm not sure what happened there. I was looking away from things. It looked a quiet moment of the game. Mopai has been booked. It was something off the ball, wasn't it?
Well, they were having a drop ball, and the ref has said to Mopai that leave it to Zuma, and Zuma's going to knock it back to the keeper.
Yeah.
And Mopai's challenging it, and he's saying, why? Why should it be?
I suspect he misunderstands the new rule, which is that drop balls have to be played by the defending team when it hits the referee. I've got a feeling he wasn't quite sure about that.
No, he wasn't. And what he's saying is, we got a game to win here.
Yeah.
You know, Chelsea are hanging on. Why are we slowing it down for them?
Slightly harsh booking, I would say.
Yes,
there
it
you
was.
go.
It was harsh. And the Chelsea players roughing him up.
Point of order, really, rather than anything else. Well, Chelsea were annoyed. Anyway, here's Tammy Abraham. Can Chelsea get one last chance to try and get themselves a win? This result will be welcomed by fans of Manchester United and Manchester City, who lie either side of Chelsea in the table. There's the ball in. It comes through to Willian. Willian in the penalty area finds Reece James, who hangs it up towards the far post. Back by Hudson-Odoi, not met though by Tammy Abraham. It was cleared by Brighton, who get it out of play. We're into 4 minutes of stoppage time. We've had one already. Azpilicueta, scorer of Chelsea's goal, which has since been equalised by Jahan Bach on the far side, gets the ball forward. Tammy Abraham is surely offside, and he is, and the flag is up, and Chelsea are in danger here of dropping points. Burnley have pulled one back against Villa. Let's hear about that from Barry Swain.
Touches the delivery in towards Gudmundsson, who tucks it back. Westwood lifted towards goal. It's deflected away and in towards Wood, who helps it into the top corner. And Burnley have their lifeline with just over 10 minutes to go. It's another header from Chris Wood.
Well, Chris Wood's given Burnley a fighting chance, but they're in stoppage time there at Turf Moor, with Villa poised for a hugely important win, one which won't be quite as bad for Brighton, given that they look as if they've rescued a point, or have they? Here's Azpilicueta finding Hudson-Odoi. Great challenge by Montoya. He's played well at right back for Brighton, hasn't he? He's defended well, and he's got up quite well, as we really saw in the last move.
Athletic, gets up there and produces decent quality. And you know, Brighton will, if it stays like this, Brighton will ruin his chances, I've got to say, because Chelsea haven't had that quality of chance that Brighton have had.
No, absolutely. Second half, Brighton have been the better team. That's a foul. Referee wants to allow play on, but in the end it doesn't accrue, so he's going to...
Do you know that's a booking, but he can't book him?
Well, he should have booked him. But Kovacic has already been booked. And
that is a booking.
Yeah, I would agree.
But he's not going to do it.
No, he's not.
Because he'd have to send
him off. Would have been a sending off.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a booking, it's a booking. If it's 2 yellows, he's off.
He's done him. He's caught him.
Yeah,
that is a that would be a booking.
And it was deliberate.
And it was
Brighton were going forward. So Graham Potter won't be terribly pleased about that. But anyway, Kovacic stays on the pitch. The score stays at 1-1. Kante tries to control it, doesn't succeed. Trossard finds Mopai. Mopai for Brighton. He's going up a blind alley at the moment, but he's managed to play it back to Davy Proper. Proper across field, and Chelsea try and intercept, but Alzate's won it back. Here's Mopai. He's got a man over on the near side. If he wants him, it's Bernardo. He's gone instead to Trossard. Trossard's brought down. It's a free kick to Brighton. Well, we're 15 seconds away from the conclusion of stoppage time. Reece James is booked, to the absolute delight of the Brighton and Hove Albion supporters, but they'll be even more delighted if they can make something of this situation. It's just to the left of centre. It's 20 yards from goal. Trossard made a dog's dinner of the last free kick that Brighton had. I would imagine this one might be a bit more direct, as Frank Lampard looks across with a furrowed brow. It's a very, very good position indeed. It looks as if Lewis Dunk, the big centre half, has spotted the ball up. He's got a couple of goals this season already, and this will surely be the last kick of the game. Can Brighton make it a telling one? Nerves around the stadium as Lewis Dunk takes 3 or 4 steps back and confronts the five-man Chelsea wall and hits it straight at Kepa, who makes a very straightforward save. That's the last kick of the game. Honours even on the south coast, which is just about a fair result. Cesar Azpilicueta, the Chelsea captain, put his side a goal up early on. That was a scruffy one, but the one that equalised it was absolutely magnificent from Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh, and it has got Brighton a very, very useful point. Indeed, this is how it unfolded at the Amex. Well, that's no overstatement. If you want to see a player connect with an overhead kick, you won't see anything better than what Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh did with that. And in the end, Paul, it was a deserved equaliser for the Seagulls.
I'll tell you now, it's one of them. If you did it another 10 times, you'd be lucky to connect that way once or twice. It's a dream goal. It's nothing short of what they deserve, though. If you look at the game in total, they were in it. They were in it for most of it. They defended well. Chelsea just don't seem to be able to sense danger defensively and shut a game down. 1-0 up, 10 or 15 minutes to go. They should be stifling the game to death, but they didn't, and they gave up territory. They gave the ball up. They weren't good enough in nicking chances themselves, and they allowed Brighton back in.
Paul, my thanks to you. My thanks to all of you for listening. Thanks for your tweets. It's been great fun. I wish you all a very happy and prosperous 2020. There's so much more to come. We've got all the games coming up for you in the Premier League. It's finished here. Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Chelsea 1. I'm John Anderson. Good afternoon. You're listening to Premier League Live.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 on Talk Sport.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Later it's Polly and bookies, all for most excellent pay.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6.
Ring your neck in, Alan, that's enough.
On Talk Sport.
That's brilliant. Well, he's the king of the gingers, the TalkSport VIP. He's reached the top with his carrot mop and his tall and freckly. He's on every day with coffee, with top fast bowling chat. You're not wrong. They'll hit you for 6 with a sporting mix from the middle of their cricket bat. Oh, I want to be like you. What have you said now? I want a ginger, a head that's ready to. You see it's true. I've had enough of it. Someone like me. Don't talk about that. Can learn to be like Durham, like you.
Join the kings of the sporting jungle. Adrian Durham and Darren Goff. Weekday afternoons from 4.
That's Talk Sport I'm talking about, man.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. Talk Sport. It's the double O duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got Pussy Galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
You've reached the voicemail of Alan Brazil.
If you're lucky, you just might catch the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
If you know where they look. A solid Scottish bomb fever. He's been there, seen it, drunk it. Today's a friendly bookie, and life's an all-day junket. He put a monkey on a horse. That didn't make the course. Oh, Alan!
They call me the Tartan Pimpernel.
It's a comic daily steeplechase of tartan joviality. A proper wedge of wonder and corporate hospitality. It's a full day's toil when you're always on the boil, like Alan.
Alan! The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast. Talk Sports National Treasure. Available across the UK in wine bars, hospitality tents, bookies, and occasionally on Talk Sport.
Join me Monday morning from 6 o'clock.
Hopefully
on digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Cheers!
Talk Sport. Premier League live with Talk Sport.
Oh my goodness! Kevin De Bruyne with an absolute howitzer into the top corner.
Oh, and how he strikes it. Wonderful goal. Caught it so sweetly.
We've got every single goal, every single weekend of the season.
Adama Traore secures the 3 points for Wolves here at the Etihad.
The goals, the stories, the sackings, the thrashings, and everything in between.
A record-equalling performance and a record-equalling result for Leicester City.
Premier League live with Talk Sport.
You're listening to Talk Sport's coverage of Southampton against Tottenham Hotspur from St Mary's Stadium. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me is the former Watford and Brentford goalkeeper Richard Lee, and this is Premier League Live. Well, it's a year to the day since Spurs last kept a clean sheet in the Premier League away from home, and even though defensive issues continue to blight Tottenham in the Jose Mourinho era, the general feeling continues to be one of progress and positivity under the special one, as the visitors bid to go fifth in the table for a few hours at least. Now, having looked in dire straits after their 9-0 thumping by Leicester back in October, Saints appear to have turned a major corner under Ralph Hasenhüttl, a 13-point haul from their last 7 games bettered only by Liverpool and Manchester United, and the home side have climbed from the relegation zone to 15th during that time. Another win could see them reach the heady heights of mid-table. And in Danny Ings and Harry Kane, we've got two of the most in-form and predatory strikers in the business preparing to lead their respective lines. Plenty then to look forward to on this New Year's Day 2020. Happy New Year to Richard Lee. How you doing, pal?
Happy New Year to yourself too. Very well. Yourself?
Not too bad. Good boy, I hear last night. You were in bed early and well researched and well featured.
Ready for this. Let's get it done.
Excellent. Loads to talk about here. We'll probably go with those two strikers first, Ings and Kane. Two brilliant players and two bang-in form players with 31 goals this season between them.
No, absolutely. I was going to say, really excited for this one, and a big reason for that is these two players. Look, the one thing you would think with this game, given the defensive records of both, is that there should be goals, and there should be many goals. It should be an entertaining game. And you're right, those two in particular at the moment, both in form. You'd like to think they'll both be on the score sheet today, certainly. Really interested to see how they both set up. We were looking beforehand at the formations as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they set up, how Tottenham can try and contain Southampton going forward, and certainly the same for Southampton.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the teams then before I get teeth into one or two of the other stats and potential tactical things that are going to be employed. Southampton, first of all, making two changes to the side that drew against Crystal Palace last time out. Moussa Djenepo and Stuart Armstrong come into the starting 11. Che Adams drops to the bench, and there's no Sofiane Boufal. So in what we think might be a 4-2-3-1 formation, could be 4-4-2, it's Alex McCarthy in goal. Certainly a back four of Cedric Suarez, Jack Stevens, Jan Bednarek and Ryan Bertrand. I would suspect Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and James Ward-Prowse in midfield, with Armstrong, Djenepo and Nathan Redmond supporting Ings up front. On the bench, Angus Gunn, Maya Yoshida, Yannick Vestergaard, Shane Long, Adams, Oriol Romeu and Michael Obafemi. As for Spurs, two changes to the team that drew 2-2 against Norwich City at Carrow Road last time out. Lucas Moura and Moussa Sissoko, who's back from suspension, they return to the starting 11. Giovanni Lo Celso drops down to the bench, and there's no Juan Foyth involved on this occasion. So it is Paulo Gazzaniga in goal. Could well be a kind of 4-1-4-1 formation from Jose Mourinho. Back four of Ryan Sessegnon and Serge Aurier, Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld. Tanguy Ndombele sitting in front of them. And then a pretty attacking quartet of Moussa Sissoko, Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen and Moura, with the aforementioned Harry Kane up front. On the bench is Michel Vorm, Davinson Sanchez, Harry Winks, who's also back from suspension, Eric Lamela, Lo Celso, Ollie Skip and Japhet Tanganga, who's a young 20-year-old London-born defender who for the second game in a row is named on the bench to flush out the seven who are the substitutes. Rich, what do you make of those? Where we go? Southampton first.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Southampton, I mean, actually start with the bench. They've actually got quite an attacking bench, so you've got a lot of different options there. Of course, Opafemi making a bit of a name for himself. The likes of Shane Long as well, and Che Adams, who has been a bit hit and miss, it's fair to say. He was fantastic in the Championship last season, but hasn't quite happened yet. But getting a few more opportunities. You mentioned Danny Ings. Of course, he is going to be the main man, certainly. And no, look, they've found a bit of form. You know, certainly since the 9-0 defeat that they had. Since then, I don't believe they've lost a game by more than a single goal. The results of late have been very promising. And it just shows where this Premier League's at the moment, where Hassan, who by all accounts was quite close to the sack, it seemed, certainly from the outside at one point. But this nice little run, and all of a sudden, if they could win today, they really will be back amongst it. And there's many teams. They're one of these teams. Many teams that are much of a much.
Yeah, absolutely. They could, depending on other results today, climb as high as 10th. Certainly 12th is very much within Saints' reach, which when they were mired in the relegation zone at the end of October with that thumping defeat, it felt, as you rightly say, Rich, a long time ago. For Spurs, largely a decent return. I think since Jose Mourinho took over, only Liverpool just about have had larger points hauls. Everyone else has been much of a muchness, with Spurs second. But defensive issues, frailties, lack of consistency, particularly away from home. They're not the finished article and solved yet, are they?
No, far from it. No, you're right, and that's the biggest thing for Jose Mourinho, is the number of goals they concede. And they've been funny. Obviously, they've had a lot of victories, which is great. He'd be frustrated with the games they did lose, of course, against his old teams. And last time out, they weren't particularly convincing, so still not quite right. But you look at the personnel, and of course, they have got world-class players there. They have done well away from home recently, 3 away wins recently. So you feel that this is one where they'll go into this game very, very confident. It's the kind of game they have been picking off recently. So certainly, if I were to side with one, I think the Spurs have got the edge. But it will be a fascinating game, and like I say, I think we will get goals.
I'll highlight one or two other players for now. Christian Eriksen, as we know, could well be leaving the club. He's out of contract, as I think everybody knows, at the end of the season. The Danish playmaker, he's been linked with Real Madrid. I think that's where he'd probably like to go. Do they want him sufficiently? We don't know. Man United often seem to be interested as well. Regardless, having been kind of out of the picture and not picked particularly often by Maurizio Pochettino, Jose's given him a run, and he was man of the match last time out with a brilliant goal.
Yeah, well, look, this is it. You wonder what's going on behind the scenes to an extent. The fact that, look, they're starting to pick up now. I saw another interesting thing. They're at 29 points. This time last season, they're at 45 points. So it's not been a good season at all, really. However, the fact that Chelsea are stumbling a bit, that 4th spot is still very much up for grabs. Jose Mourinho has certainly come in and had a positive impact. But I think where he's had the biggest positive impact is where you've just mentioned, the likes of Eriksen. Some of these players that maybe were a little bit unsure of their future, maybe a little bit unsettled. It from the outside looked a little bit toxic looking in. It certainly looks like the players are playing for Mourinho, and even if they're not playing for Mourinho, playing for themselves, because you mentioned Christian Eriksen. Look, if he does want to move to Real Madrid, well, the best way he can do that is going and doing the job for Tottenham every week.
And to back up your point as well, there were certainly widespread reports that Serge Aurier, Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen were all moving on, and look, one of them has already signed a new deal, the others may yet, and they're all in the starting 11 today. That is quite a turnaround.
It really is. I think that was, again, hindsight is a great thing, but looking back at the time, there was a big surprise when Pochettino went, big surprise when Mourinho came in. Not everybody was overly happy, and of course the jury is still out whether he has changed in the way that he claims he has, the humble one, and all that. So look, that will still be out for a period of time, but I think what he has done is he's brought a bit of excitement back to Spurs. I think generally the fans and what have you, but I think it's that's the key thing for me. He's always been, until recently, until the later stages of his stint at Manchester United, he was always someone that the players absolutely adored. You look back at his Chelsea time, that was the one thing he had. The players absolutely adored him, and they would do anything for him, and you feel like he's just starting to do that at Spurs. He's simplified the way they play to an extent. They don't play out all that much anymore from what I've seen, and he's just changed one or two things. Nothing major, but the one thing he has done is he seems to have got everyone on side.
Talking of playing out, of course, it was the reverse fixture under Mopo where Hugo Lloris had that horrible moment where he played out, got dispossessed. Ultimately, they still took that one at 2-1, but a classic example of what Rich has pointed to there. Richard Lee, alongside me, Russell Hargreaves. We'll look ahead to some of the other games of the day and review what's happened already in a second. Southampton Spurs, though, our next commentary game. League Life.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6 on Talk Sport.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Later it's Polly and bookies, all for most excellent pay.
The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Monday morning from 6.
Bring your neck in, Alan, that's enough. On Talk Sport. That's brilliant. Well, he's the king of the gingers, yeah. The TalkSport VIP. He's reached the top with his carrot mop and his tall and freckly. He's on every day with coffee. For top fast bowling chat. You're not wrong. They'll hit you for 6 with a sporting mix from the middle of their cricket bat. Oh, I want to be like you.
What have you said now?
I want to ginger a head that's treasure too. You see it's true.
I've had enough of it.
Someone like me.
Don't talk about that.
Can learn to be like Durham, like you.
Join the kings of the sporting jungle, Adrian Durham and Darren Goff. Weekday afternoons from 4.
That's Talk Sport I'm talking about, man.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. Talk Sport. It's the double O duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
You've reached the voicemail of Alan Brazil.
If you're lucky, you just might catch the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast.
If you know where they look.
A solid Scottish bomb fever. He's been there, seen it, drunk it. Today's a friendly bookie, and life's an all-day junket. He put a monkey on a horse. That didn't make the course. Oh, Alan!
They call me the Tartan Pimpernel.
It's a comic daily steeplechase of tartan joviality. A proper wedge of wonder and corporate hospitality. It's a full day's toil when you're always on the boil, like Alan.
Alan! The Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast, Talk Sports National Treasure. Available